Today we're fishing for pike on the famous River Stour in Dorset. We're fishing the through section, which is a 5-mile section, £10 on a day ticket, absolutely brilliant value for money. It's a stunning setting, see in background, through mill, that's where we're going to start from. We're going to fish the main river, but at the moment we're going to start off in the actual mill area. Beautiful section, quite a few ducks around, hopefully get rid of them in a moment so we can get into the pike. It should be in this little backwater section. Because the water's been fairly high recently, it tends to push the pike into these slightly quieter areas. They know there's plenty of food there for them and they can ambush the prey pretty easily. We're going to go very, very light today. Nice lure rod, some big lures. I've got a selection of lures in my bag. I'll have a little look at them later. Got my landing net and of course my unhooking mat. And that really is all you need for lure fishing for pike. We're going to be travelling quite a way today, so keep it light and hopefully catching some decent fish. Third cast, a lovely little pike. So let's get my unpacking mat out. So now we can see why we're using wire trace. I mean, it's not a big pike, but it's completely engulfed that lure. That was a no nonsense, that wanted that. Okay, so what a great start to the day. Third cast, lovely little pike, about 4 or 5 pound. Hopefully get its mum or dad later. But let's get this one back and see if we can catch some more. So as you can see, some of the best spots are the most difficult to get to, and that's the reason I'm heading to them. When I get to the areas that the pressure is the least, people don't want to put the effort in to get to them, but that's most likely where your bigger pike are going to be, because it feels safer there. Some of these little marks and swims are not the easiest to get to, but they're well worth the effort. You can find some real gems. Coming into this area now, and they're just so fishy. It almost screams pike. So I found a bait with some really nice structure here. A little bit of a back pull here. A lot of little fish be in here. Pike will be feeding on them. Probably up against something like those trees over there, right in against the margins here. I'll give it a little bit of a go here. So I'm going to get as close to this cover as I can without hooking into it. Oh, that's a lovely catch, right on the edge there. First cast can be so critical when you're lure fishing for pike, especially in the winter like this. You often only get one chance, so you want to try and make your cast as accurate as you possibly can. Just do one along the edge of the margin here. I know there's pike in this swim, whether or not I'm going to take my lure or not, I don't know. I've been using this lure for about an hour now. Pretty confident because I got a fish with it first few casts, but I think it's about time I looked at maybe changing the colour, because I know in an area like this has got to be pike and they just don't seem to be interested in this colour at the moment, so I'm going to change the colour and see if we can maybe pick one up. So lure choice can be bewildering, and all I'm going to talk about today is the ones that I would use for the winter. You can see here I've got a good selection. Most of them are hard-bodied with a soft tail. The big, the bold, they make a lot of noise, and really in the winter you've got to have lures that you can fish slowly, because the pike are much lazier, but they're much more interested in having a big meal. So if they see something nice, big, flash past them, the predator instinct in them just says, go and get it. And if it's big and bright, there's a far higher chance of that. Some of the ones I've got today, this is one that was successful earlier, little candy stripe, white with a pink tail. Here, much darker colour, black tail with a red. These two are the same lure, they're slow sinking lure. Here I've got a much bigger lure, very, very colourful. Although it's larger, it actually sinks at a slower rate, so when you're really trying to control the depth, something like this really, really can work. But make sure when you do fish them with plenty of action. Don't just retrieve them all the time. Sometimes that'll work, but normally in the winter you really, really want to give it a little bit of a jerk action, make it look like it's really struggling. The more traditional coloured one that you would probably use more towards the summer, but always nice to have in the arsenal. Got a couple of spoons here. This one's a sort of salmon trout imitation, nice shiny back, so as it twists in the water, lots of illumination. And there's a slightly smaller one. These lures really, really well made, beautiful lures. I really like them. Whether they catch fish, that's a different matter. Let's hope they do. Got a little surface lure here. It's a kind of cross popper. But it's got also a little bib underneath, so you can do a really, really nice walk the dog. Normally in the winter I wouldn't bother with a surface lure, but today particularly the temperature's come up quite a lot since it was this morning, so that might just make the fish a little bit more active and they might be enticed to take a surface lure. And last but not least is a pretty battered shad, but it's rigged with a weedless hook, so I can push it right into all the reed beds and things like that, and 99% of the time I am actually going to get it back. You can't see the top of the hook there, but when the pike bites down on that, it releases that and that gives a hook up. Yes, they're not as effective as an uncovered hook, but when it comes to fishing in really, really rough or weeded areas, at least you're going to get your lure back, and let's be honest, that's more likely where the fish are going to be. The guys who've been dead baiting here say they've had quite a lot of decent fish out here in the past week. some that are over £20, so it'd be lovely to catch one of those on the lures. I don't know if that was a knock or just an underwater obstruction. I'm so convinced that there's a pike in this little swim here that I'm not moving on as I would normally do. I'm actually just changing to another lure, which is a really big 50-gram lure. Blue, orange, yellow, big orange tail. That's got to tempt something, hasn't it? Oh, well, time to move on. Add it in. So we've not had much success so far with our lure fishing, but just spotted another angler who's just managed to get a nice pike of about 6 or 7 pounds on a dead bait. What's the dead bait you're using?
Herring.
On a herring.
Big herring, yeah, small fish for such a.
So a saltwater fish taken by a freshwater predator. So I mentioned earlier about rod technology, and what I've got here is one of the rods with the new microwave technology rings. They've been around for about a year, and I've been using this rod for a couple of months now, and I really like it. The whole idea is that the first ring has an inserted ring inside it, and what it does is it reduces the coil of line that's coming off the reel, and it gives you a longer, smoother cast. But what's important is when you're pike fishing, you really need cast accuracy, and this really helps with that accuracy. As you go further up the rod, the eyes become smaller and smaller, and the tip eye and the last two are very small eyes. The technology behind those long, smooth, accurate casts. And the figures of stating are, you get about a 20% extra distance in cast. I'm not sure if it's as far as that, but it certainly gives me the accuracy that I need. So I've decided to move upstream a little bit. Since this morning the water has risen quite a bit. It's come up by about 1.5 feet, almost 2 foot, and it's carrying a lot of colour. This is a result of some rain that we had a couple of days ago, and it's now seeping into the river from the streams and the fields around. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this lure off and I'm going to put on something a little bit bigger and a little bit brighter, because I'm really starting to struggle now. And I'm hoping that something like this, which is a 50 gram lure, big, bright and bold, is going to get us some fish. So, I'm going to go and give it a try. We're at the tail end of the pool here. There's lots and lots of back eddies. Obviously there's lots of obstruction, and we're going to be aiming for one of these little slack water areas where the pike have probably taken up residency now that the water is pushing through a lot more. Just letting it come down in the stream slowly. Oh, yeah, fish on. Is what we've come for. This pike on a lure. Stick him on my underkin mat. So that was lucky because the trebles had just dropped out of him. I'm all caught up in my landing net. Not a big fish, maybe 5-6 pound, but nice fish all the same. Caught on a lure in ever increasingly difficult conditions. Water has come up quite a lot and it's gone quite dirty. But let's get this guy back in the water. Just going to hold him for a little bit. Oh, no, he doesn't want to be held. He's off. Well, it's been a lovely day. Caught some fish, which is the main thing, and we caught them on lures, which is even better. It's been quite tough fishing conditions. The temperature's been quite low, and most importantly, the river level rose quite quickly this afternoon, which really was a challenge. But at the end of the day, we got some fish, had a great day, and proved that winter fishing for pike with lures is not only possible, it's great fun. Hope you enjoy it if you go yourself.